As I said earlier, I enjoy stories, and I want to relate one now. At one time, the Betrayed community had at least 2 or 3 and maybe more persons who were raised and spent time at the orphanage home in Holdridge, which today we call that area and the buildings out there as Christian homes. So sharing a little bit of this background, I want to relate, this is a true story, that when I first went to Bertrand many years ago, I was teaching this woman's children. And so she said, I have some history or something in my life I want to tell you. I want you to tell you about Mary. Mary is not her true name of this lady, and probably it wouldn't bother her if I use her real name, but I've chosen not to at this time. But I think this is what the season's about. Mary lived in the Holdridge orphanage, and she related how she would go through an interview time after time after time, and each time it was more painful than the last. Every time it happened, what little hope she had decreased that much more each time that no one wanted her. It was always the same. There would be a call to come to the office where she could hear the muffled voices discussing her on the other side of the door, and she would hear words like slow or difficult. These words were often used. They would ask her in, and then there would be an inch-by-inch scrutiny. She hated it. She felt like she was a specimen under a microscope or a slab of meat hanging in a butcher shop, not the homeless, parentless little girl that she really was. She remembered how one woman wouldn't even look at her after she saw how poorly her dress fit, or the time that they laughed at her because she stuttered. Worst of all were the times she was rejected because she had a club foot. It would make her too clumsy even to be a serving girl. One day, all the bad memories came back to her as she stood under the searching gaze of a young man and a woman sitting in front of her. She was afraid to even have a little bit of hope. She felt so very self-conscious, and she even tried to hide her misshapen foot behind the good one. Mary thought the young woman was very beautiful. She related her hair was soft and her face was clean. Her long dress flowed all the way to the floor. The man slowly got out of his chair and walked around Mary. At times he would stop and glance toward his wife and raise an eyebrow or just look at her. He circled her a couple more times and went over and took a seat next to his wife. And there they looked into each other's eyes for a long time, and it never said a word. Then he turned to the superintendent and said, "Yes, she's the one. We would like to have her." The superintendent just shook his head in disbelief. "What are you people thinking?" And Mary was stunned. You want me to be your serving girl? The pretty young woman just smiled and said, "No, Mary, we want you to be our daughter." Mary couldn't believe it. No one had ever said that before. She had dreamed of it, but she could hardly believe it. "You really want me to be your daughter? To live in your house?" Mary wasn't even aware that she did not stutter that time. The man said, "Yes, we have never had any children, and we have so much love to give, and we want to give it to you. We want you to be happy." With that, the man's wife smiled and then very slowly reached down and pulled up her floor-length dress to reveal her own malformed foot. Then with reassurance and understanding, she said to Mary, "Today we want you to be our child. Please, Mary, let us love you." Mary stated that she was lifted up by the grace of God. And this is what it's all about as we prepare to celebrate the birth of Jesus. By the grace of God, she became like them. And this, my friends, is what it's all about. This is why God came as one of us. He knows the hurts, the pains, the struggles, the failures which we face. We also know that He knows the grief of death. He knows the joys of life, and He knows all the temptations of life. Through His birth in that stable, He came not just looking like one of us, but truly to be one of us. If we believe anything less than that, we fall in the trap of believing that God will only accept what or who is perfect. And that leaves us all out. God said, "Let me love you just as you are." Amen.